Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves, because Donald Trump is making waves again. On the very first day of his second term as President of the United States, Trump signed an executive order that is shaking the global health community to its core. The decision? Initiating the process to withdraw the United States from the World Health Organization, WHO. That's right. The move he threatened during his first term is now a reality. But what does this mean for America? And why is it such a controversial step? Stick with us for the next 8 minutes as we break it all down for you. But before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed to T's Secret Diary. We're your go-to source for daily engaging content on all things Donald Trump news. Help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button now. To understand this decision, we need to rewind a bit. Trump's frustration with the WHO isn't new. Back in 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, he heavily criticized the organization for its handling of the crisis, calling it China-centric, and accusing it of failing to act swiftly when the virus first emerged in Wuhan, China. According to the White House, this latest withdrawal is due to WHO's mishandling of global health crises, its failure to implement reforms, and its inability to remain independent from political influence. But Trump didn't stop there. He called out the WHO for what he described as unfair financial practices, claiming the U.S. pays far more than any other country. In his view, it's time for America to stop footing the bill for an organization he believes doesn't serve the country's best interests. Of course, this decision hasn't come without backlash. Health experts, scientists, and global leaders are sounding the alarm. Many fear that this move could roll back decades of progress in fighting infectious diseases like AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis. Even worse, they argue that it could leave the world more vulnerable to future pandemics. Dr. John LaPook, CBS News chief medical correspondent, described the WHO as the United Nations for Health. He warned that leaving the organization could weaken global coordination during health crises. Think about it. Pandemics don't respect borders. Without a central body like the WHO, how can nations effectively communicate and collaborate to fight diseases that threaten everyone? The WHO itself has urged the U.S. to reconsider. In a statement, it highlighted the countless lives saved through its partnership with the U.S., and pointed to recent reforms aimed at addressing concerns like the ones Trump raised. But will this be enough to sway the Trump administration? That remains to be seen. Now let's talk about you, the American people. This decision hits closer to home than you might think. Imagine this. The next time a global health crisis arises, will the U.S. be prepared? Without the WHO, there's a risk that vital resources, information, and coordination could be delayed or even blocked, and that delay could mean lives lost. Here's the painful truth. Pandemics like COVID-19 taught us just how interconnected our world is. No matter how strong America's healthcare system is, it cannot operate in isolation. The virus didn't care about borders, and neither will the next one. But Trump's supporters argue that this is a step toward reclaiming American independence. They believe the U.S. shouldn't rely on international organizations to protect its citizens, especially if those organizations aren't pulling their weight. For them, this move represents a return to putting America first. Here's the good news. This isn't the end of the road. The withdrawal process takes 1 year, giving both sides a chance to negotiate. During this time, the Trump administration has an opportunity to push for the reforms it wants to see in the WHO. If successful, America could rejoin under better terms that ensure fairness, accountability, and efficiency. For the average American, this could mean better use of taxpayer dollars and a stronger, more independent role for the U.S. in global health. But it also requires balance. Leaders must ensure that this decision doesn't leave the country or the world vulnerable to emerging health threats. If there's one thing we've learned over the past few years, it's that health crises don't wait. They strike suddenly and without warning. Trump's decision to withdraw from the WHO is bold, controversial, and risky. But it's also a chance to redefine America's role in global health. As the clock ticks on this withdrawal process, all eyes will be on the White House, the WHO, and the global response. Will Trump's gamble pay off, or will it leave the U.S. isolated in its fight against future pandemics? One thing's for sure, the stakes couldn't be higher. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment in history that will shape the future of global health. Whether you support Trump's decision or not, it's clear that the conversation about America's role on the world stage is far from over. So stay tuned, because this story is just beginning.